Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the A Lange Sohne Lange in glorious red gold with slate dial. This is a timepiece that is the traditional Lange 38.5 millimeters in diameter, and it is graceful, wearable, and I would even say universal in this size. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see the watch sits easily with a agreeable thickness of 10.2 millimeters and a domed bezel profile, and from lug to lug the watch is quite wearable with a span of 47.2 millimeters. This reference 101.033. As with all standard Lange ones, a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Take it off, take a quick look at some of the accessories fitted, and you can see that the watch has a handsome and substantial large rectangular scale alligator leather strap. You can see a semi-gloss finish with a monotone stitch and a folded edge, calfskin on the underside and brown to match. You can see this is a new A Lange Sohne factory strap, and you have the famed Lange pin buckle. Not only is it handsome and faceted, shapely and nuanced on the outside, but it has an elevated bridge. So you can see the bridge is elevated over the prongs on the side, so that when you put it on the wrist, it sits flush on the wrist rather than having the strap sit underneath. It sits inside the buckle. Now it also has a retaining bar, because if you're like me and you have a small wrist, you're going to buckle the watch down to the smallest hole, or even add a smaller hole, which means that oftentimes the watch will be quite tightly wound and bound to the wrist, and that often results in the strap getting pinned on the pin. This retaining bar prevents it from getting too tight on the wrist, so you will never have trouble extricating the strap even if you buckle it down tight. Jump into the case. It is typical Lange, which means for the Lange 1 you have a simple case band, everything's of high polish, and then you have a stepped out set of lugs that really define the look of the watch. This is a Lange signature, and it's one of the few design traits that has weathered both the years as well as all of the models in the Lange catalog. This is one of the most distinctive elements of Lange design, and it is designed to evoke vintage timepieces. Now, of course, A Lange Sohne today, established in 1990, and the brand rebuilt under the scion of the original Lange family, Walter Lange. It is a modern company that launched its first watches in 1994, and one of the first four models was the Lange 1. That's the model that we have right here. The timepiece features a hidden mathematical logic about its dial. You can search Lange 1 mathematical dial relationships for an elaboration, but none of this is haphazard. It's also handsome. As you can see, the arrangement along a vertical axis of the double-digit date, the power reserve, and the small seconds, opposed to the hours and the minutes. Now, everything that you see on the dial that appears to be gold is in fact gold. Indices, numerals, hands, as well as the frame for the double-digit date. There is a pusher adjuster, so you can play with the panorama datum, as it's called, and it has the same tactile feel and crisp click that you'll find in a high-grade column wheel chronograph, such as, for example, the Lange Datograph. You will also note that although the dial is slate in coloration, the dial material itself is sterling silver, so it is a solid gold watch with a solid silver dial. That's a lot of precious metal. Now, of course, you have the 3-day power reserve and the power reserve scale over at 3 o'clock. You also have a stop seconds function, so you can halt the seconds and synchronize to a reference time. Turn it all over, and this is one of the original Lange calibers, the L901, so 90 being the work started date, and that's how you decode a Lange caliber. 90, the first two digits in any Lange caliber reference, the year work started on the movement. So this one founded, or at least conceived, in 1990. Manual wind, 72-hour power reserve, twin mainspring barrels, so it has more of an even torque release. After 24 and 48 hours, it doesn't have the amplitude drop-off you get with a single barrel watch. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, 53 joules, and you can see the style known as today German watch style, but truthfully pioneered by Lange in the modern era. Much of it pays homage to pocket watches. As you can see, there's a 3/4 style bridge, as you'd find in a pocket watch. There is a black polished swan's neck regulator, and in a nod to old Saxon pocket watches, a freehand engraved balance cock. So no two of those exactly alike, because it's not executed with a machine, but with a file and a hammer. You can see black polish not just atop the swan's neck, but also atop the cock cover for the escape wheel. You'll also note jewels set in chaton placed into bridges and plates back in the 19th century before precision machining, so that it would be easier by virtue of simply inserting the jewel into the chaton and then screwing the chaton into the bridge to assemble and, when the time comes, service the watch. You'll also note that the screws are blued. They're both black polished and fire blued screws, and the glasuta stripes across the bridge, as well as the engine turn perlage and the mirrored anglage on the edge of every access port, as well as the edge of the bridges, speaking to the highest standards of micrometric artisanal finish. Finally, German silver used for all the bridges and plates. You may wonder, why is this movement so golden hued compared to a rhodium plated Swiss movement? Because a nickel copper zinc alloy that is known colloquially as German silver is used to create all these components. Why? Because that's how it was done in the pocket watch era. You could see and you could own a veritable pocket watch for the wrist on the watch box.